Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Dave Lavora. For years, you have been telling us about a special, absolutely incredible, truly unique destination brewery in Southern Illinois. And for years, we've had that brewery on our bucket list of places to visit. Well, we're here. We're in Southern Illinois, and we're finally going to scratch this brewery off that bucket list on this episode of Brewed. For years now, you've been telling us that we need to come down to Southern Illinois and visit Scratch Brewing. And boy, am I glad that you gave us this recommendation, because this really is a brewery unlike any place we've ever been. Aaron, you're a co-owner of Scratch.
Correct.
You are a brewer, you are a baker, and this is an important line of work that I don't think we've ever had on the show before, a forager. A forager, that is something that most breweries don't have.
For me, this brewery is like, it's very nostalgic. So as a kid, my grandparents had a big garden. My grandmother and that side of the family would gather wild greens and use wild food quite often. So growing up, I had different jobs where in the summer I would dig ginseng and golden seal or other medicinal herbs. So I was always in the woods. And then being fortunate to travel with some of the jobs I had before we started the brewery, I was kind of able to see in Europe how each village has its own kind of product, we'll say. Mm-hmm. So it's very important for us here, myself and Marika included, to like showcase the local ingredients. So we always wanted to make a place-based beer. And Southern Illinois, with the convergence of the Ohio and the Mississippi, we have some of the best plant diversity here in the entire United States. It just worked out that this is a really great place to be for this kind of brewery.
It's one thing, I know a lot of breweries think it's important to have ingredients from as locally as possible. And a lot of times that might mean getting something from 50 miles away rather than the Pacific Northwest. And that's fantastic. But everything you use, like everything is from a radius of like 5 acres, is that right?
Well, no, like a lot of the ingredients we add to beer, they're from within like 10 or 15 minutes of here.
Okay.
We buy grain. We get our grain from Indiana, from Sugar Creek.
Okay. But as far as like ingredients that you use in beer, I mean, elderberries, there are things that you put in beer, ingredients that I've never even heard of, like plants I've never heard of before.
Yeah, so this overgrown brush right outside here, those are all elderberries that are ripe right now.
Okay.
So, a long time ago, when I was gathering in the woods and our fence rows and stuff, I would dig some up and bring them back here and plant them around the brewery. So then 6-7 years later, they're all producing, and then we can just harvest them here now. So there's lots of plants like that around that we started by foraging, but we brought them here and I grow them close by. I say grow, but just provide conditions where they can grow, and then they do all the work basically.
There are plants here at Scratch, just as you're walking around, where you'd be forgiven if you thought you were in some tropical island. I mean, there is the diversity of plant life that abounds out here is striking.
Yeah, we have for the local like wild fruits that we use here. We've got persimmon trees, we've got pawpaw trees, we've got passion fruit, which we grow. It's a native passion fruit. So yeah, in the summer,
I feel like an absolute idiot that I didn't know passion fruit was something that would just grow in Illinois.
Yeah, it was John Muir's favorite fruit.
Really?
So it does grow up north to as far north as Wisconsin.
Wow.
But yeah, it's certain ones produce more than others. We had been foraging off of this or gathering off this one plant maybe a half an hour from here for a long time, and we finally got one to take here.
So foraging means basically that you're going out looking for things?
At this
or
point,
you don't plant the things, or they just naturally occur? Or?
It's a mix. Like if I'm looking for something that we don't have, then maybe I foraged for it initially. But I think a lot of it's just gathering and knowing where to go.
Right.
So in the spring, in the summer, the last few weeks, I was looking for chanterelle mushrooms. And like over the years, we've been open 13 years, so I know where they all grow around here. We didn't have much rain here believe it or not, this spring and summer so far. So I drove south to where I hadn't been. So I was actually looking in places that I hadn't been. So that was more like foraging, I'll say. But I generally know where everything is and the time of year it's going to be. And I could look at a map and just point to the map where I'm going to go, and I could get really close on stuff.
I'm looking at your shirt. You got mushrooms on your shirt.
Yeah.
You're talking about chanterelle mushrooms, a mushroom variety. I'll admit I'm not familiar with it all. Mushrooms in beer. What do you use mushrooms for in beer?
In the chanterelle beer to guard, we use it for flavoring. So the chanterelle mushroom, when you pick it, it's an orange mushroom that looks kind of like a trumpet shape that grows out of the ground, and it just smells like apricots.
Imagine.
So after that beer is made, that apricot smell, and also like it just smells like you've just picked like a basket full of mushrooms, the beer. So I think that's definitely one ingredient we've done total justice to.
Aaron, I grew up in the suburbs. The idea of going out into the forest and picking trumpet-looking mushrooms and making a beer out of it, like, I know to you this is what you do for work. To me, you sound like a wizard. You know? Like,
well,
I know this is your job, but to me and to all of us watching, what you're saying sounds like absolute magic. Does it feel like magic to you sometimes?
I think the finished product and why I'm into beer and the fermentation of it and trying to capture the flavor that's in an ingredient, if you get it right and you figure it out, that does feel like magic. All these flavors we're using are very familiar to people. They just may not know where it's from or
associate those flavors with beer necessarily, right?
100 years ago or so, most people's ancestors were all from farms or rural areas, and these are all things that they were using. So they're not like exotic things. They've just become exotic because they've just kind of disappeared, I guess, from cuisine.
When you talk about seasonal, you are absolutely at the mercy of nature as to when it provides for you. Huh?
Yeah, and if, let's say, we don't find persimmons or it's an off year, we just don't brew that beer that year.
They're both haunted. These both are haunted.
This one's haunted too?
Very much.
Okay, well, let's start there.
Yeah.